School District regular board meeting for July 11th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to start with our Centerville Community School District mission. That is that all students will learn well, become lifelong learners, and contribute positively to society. This is a regular board meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Wiskus.
Here. I'd like to welcome all visitors. We have 2 in the room tonight, and for those of you joining online, welcome. And if we're live streaming, everybody's live streaming, we do appreciate the fact that you are taking interest in the business of the school, so welcome to the meeting. I'd like to start with the public forum. If anybody of the public would like to make a statement at this time to the board, we invite you to do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll move on. We have the agenda in front of us. We have no changes to the agenda tonight. So with that, if we could have a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item is approve the meeting minutes, the previous minutes. There's 2 previous meeting minutes. One is from June 11th and another from the special meeting we had on June 27th. I'm sorry, June 13th.
Motion approved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the previous meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. There is no old business. New business. First item is to consider and approve the board vacancy. As we know, Brooke Johnson has, she and Matt have moved to the Ankeny area, and Brooke did resign her seat effective June 30th, so we have until July 30th to appoint an open board member. We did ask, if you remember from the previous meeting, we did ask and have posted for people are interested into it. I'm assuming you're Kara?
Yes.
Okay, never met before, I'm Kevin. And Derek is here, interested in being appointed to that position. So the options that we have as a board tonight is to approve or not approve. If we don't approve tonight, then we will have to approve by July 30th. So we'd have one more chance on June 27th on our meeting. But if we don't approve within 30 days, then it goes to a special election. So that is the options that we have, is to consider and approve. If we don't approve, we will probably have another special meeting before the board meeting, because I'm not going to wait until 3 days before the ending of that to appoint somebody, because I don't want to have to go through the $8,000 to $10,000 it would take to do a special election for one seat. Okay. Having said that, we know that in the board packet, Kara has put a letter there. Derek, he's been at a couple previous meetings. We told Derek, since he came to the last meeting, expressed his interest, he didn't have to submit a letter. We knew that he was interested. What I will do, and I didn't really kind of tee up and tell you this, but I'm going to give you about 2 minutes each to go ahead and kind of talk about why you want to be on the board. And Kara, if you want to just go ahead and address the board and tell us why you think you'd be a good board member.
All right, I have 3 children still in Centerville Community Schools. I've had kids go to school here since the 90s, so it's important to me, you know, their education and the way the schools ran. So I feel like I have a great interest there.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Derek?
I've talked to you the last time when there was a special opening, a vacant seat. Again, like Kara, I've got 3 young kids still in the district, and we're all vested in that. Education is the first and foremost duty of the board, and I'm just here through various organizations, boards, capacities that I've served. I think I bring a unique skill set to the board to help keep us going in the right direction that the district is going.
Okay. All right, having said that, this is going to be a time to openly consider it, and I will just ask, good decorum, we're going to be talking about 2 people in the room. And so, as you go through, and if there's any deliberations we want to have, I would just bring, say we're talking about people in the room. That's always kind of an awkward thing, but we're gonna talk about you right now, so. Anybody want to start?
Thanks to both of you for putting in for this open spot. It's a pretty tough position, so whichever one of you is appointed, it's fun. So I guess me, Derek's shown interest from the get-go from our first vacancy, and has attended meetings. To me, I think that puts him over a little bit more. So, I make a motion to appoint Derek Carter to fill the vacancy.
For me, I appreciate the fact that he's come to the meetings, that he showed interest. But the way we appointed last time should be consistent to the way we appoint this time, I think. And that would be the highest vote getter to me.
Second the motion.
Okay. Yeah, so this is where in the parliamentary, we have a motion and a second. Which, as I understand Robert's Rule of Order, it's supposed to end discussion. And I want to make sure that everybody has the chance to say something. So, to me, I know that parliamentary rules, Robert's Rule of Order, so we have a motion, a second, we're supposed to vote on from that.
I think we could discuss now.
There should be discussion.
Discussion, okay.
Maybe that discussion.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're allowing for some discussion, everybody gets their vote, their voice in there, so. Mike?
I'm like Chris, I guess. I would mirror his observations.
Okay. Mr. Thomas? Part two. I don't want to call you senior, so.
Okay. No comment, right?
Okay.
I think I kind of mirror Chris's perspective there. I want to thank both of them for showing interest in this. It's a hard thing to put yourself out there and do these things. But I agree with Chris and Michael.
Okay, so here's my thought on it, because we talked about the last meeting. One, I know that it was the highest vote getter from the last public election, but a couple things have happened from that. One is we had to appoint at a meeting, and this is where it's tough for me because you're in the room, but at that point, Kara didn't show interest in that time, but Derek did, and he's shown interest in this time. So Derek has been consistent in showing his interest in it. And at that point, I'm more inclined to say we don't necessarily have to follow that precedence of the highest vote getter, because there was a little bit of break in not showing interest in when we had to do the first special appointment. So I do differ from that opinion a little bit on that one. And to me, what kind of sets it apart is Derek came to his board meetings even while we're waiting to say that we're going to appoint it. He's been there a couple of times and he's shown a lot more interest in it. And so I give a little bit of preference to how much interest Derek has shown, and that's where I come on that one, so.
What about the fact that he could have ran for election? I mean, that has to say something. And I know he was a write-in,
Yeah.
I understand that. Fortunately, there will be 5 seats coming open.
Yep.
When we all,
It's just a difference in how we view the precedents is all, so. I don't disagree with what you're saying, that's my perspective on the precedents.
And if we were gonna go to a special election, you said it would cost the district, what, $8,000 to $10,000?
That's kind of what we're thinking for a 15-month appointment, yeah.
and for 50 people probably to get out and vote.
Yeah. It's not an expenditure we really want, especially when we have two people who want to do it, so. Okay.
Call for the question.
Okay. Well, the question is, and that is a proper term, call the question, is call for the, we have a motion second to appoint Derek Carter as the board member. Is this a roll call or not? We may need to do a roll call.
I can do
Just
a
go
roll
around, just because could be a little bit of swing, so why don't we do it as a roll call?
Moore,
Yes.
Mike Thomas,
Yes.
Bob Thomas,
Yes.
Shonda,
No.
Berger,
No.
Liscus.
Yes. So it's 4-2? All right, so it's by 4-2. Derek, you are appointed. Kara, thank you for being interested. And there are 5 seats open in 15 months. So we'd like to thank you for coming in, expressing interest in. There are going to be plenty of ballot seats open in a year and a half. So you're welcome to stay, you're welcome to go. So, but we do thank you for your time.
Please apply.
Well, I didn't attend meetings because I had been told that it would probably go to the next. But I did tune in and listen to the meetings online. But I have 3 kids at home, so, you know, unless I could really contribute something, I went ahead and tuned in at home and,
Yeah, sure.
and didn't attend, but I kind of knew last time where it was going, so.
Okay.
It is it can be a very time-consuming thing.
Oh,
And I
yes.
mean, I don't wanna,
Well, as
we
long
got 3
as,
children, but I mean, it's not unusual to spend 10 to 15 hours a month.
right,
Would you-
and I knew that
Would you guys agree?
when I
Yeah.
ran for it, but,
Some people
Yeah.
don't really figure that out. I
Right.
guess. But, yeah, sounds like.
Well, one of the things I'm planning on having before the next election is to have some, I don't know exactly what to call them, but some open houses, I guess, for prospective board members to just lay out what the duties and responsibilities of the board are and kind of think, because I think all of us go through this shock phase of, well, I thought, no, this is what it really is. And I would say it's more than 10 or 15 hours a month, but I find
And
myself.
we've had a workshop for prospective board members,
Yeah.
Marvin Judkins, but I think Rich Taylor was the superintendent, but they were all there. In fact, I just threw stuff away, the board policies from
Yeah.
2013 or something. They scared you off, really. They give you about this much stuff to look
Well-
at and talk about. But
It's also reality check.
Yeah, good point.
So, and I just want to give a reality check, because I know in onboarding, I don't know what, your onboarding experience was, but we got on board right when the pandemic hit, so there wasn't a lot of that. And I, spent some time with Tim, and he's since come back and says, this is a lot more work than I thought it was gonna be. And I think that's a common thing that all of us have, is this is a lot more, anyways. We're kind of getting off track here a little bit, but, so, thank you, Kara, for coming in, and, we just, you're welcome to sing. And Derek, I think Lisa's got some words for you.
Do you want to step up? I'm gonna minister the oath of office.
Where do you want me?
Right there's, right, you can see it. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Centerville Community School Board Member for the Centerville Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
Welcome.
They said here, I think it was gonna be a 3-3 tie. Mike and I both got interviewed for the thing, it was 3-3 tie. And so the superintendent, that guy that's long gone, he said, okay, get out your calendars, let's have a special meeting. And nobody wanted a special meeting, so Larry Heffron changed his mind, and I got on. And I think I got on the board because I stayed and Mike went home.
So Dave,
You were appointed before the first time.
Yeah, I've been appointed twice.
there was an open seat and we
I've
both
never-
applied.
Yeah, I've never been.
Were you appointed then?
Well, there was an open seat and I applied, and I don't know exactly how, but they appointed Bob, so.
Okay, so then you had to get on by accident.
And then I had to get on by vote.
Okay. got it.
It's a tough road.
So Mike is now the most experienced board member, right? You've been on.
You're the senior.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Enviable position, I should say.
It is. All right. Moving on a little bit. So with that, what we talked about the finance committee meeting is we have an open finance committee position. I did talk to Chris earlier today and asked him if he wanted to be in because he's not been on the committee and he's declined to be on the finance committee. So we have an open finance committee seat. And I know I'm on finance, he's on finance, Bob's on facilities, Mike's on facilities, you're on facilities. So I will offer to three of you first. Would you like to come over and join the wonderful world of the finance committee?
You know, I would not, I would hate to give up my facility spot. I would take both, if no one, you know, if that was a solution for me.
Well, and then, you know, when Derek could be served on it, it's, the thing that, and nobody knows what's gonna happen with the 5 seats that are open in 15 months. But it would be preferable to have, well, you just were re-elected, weren't you?
Yes, I was recently,
He's on.
I'm on for a while.
It just seems like all of us are turning over real soon, is to, because I know you're probably interested in running again, yeah, is to have some continuity on the finance committee.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, but if, I would say, don't dual role committee, don't dual committee, one or the other.
Yeah, I'll stay with facilities,
Okay.
it's okay.
All right, so then it's up to, you know, Derek, you're in a position where you can't say no at this point, because we disappointed you, so.
Short straw.
Yeah, and we had one tonight, so we won't have one for another month, but if, without any, I just will ask for consent of Derek just join the finance committee, since there's not an action item on it, so, okay. And we'll get together sometime, Derek, and I'll get you some, go through a whole bunch of stuff on that, all right. Moving on to consider the bus bids, we have 2 bids in the board packet. They're both on the same bus. And is, I don't see up there, I don't see Mike up there, so do you want to talk about, we've just got the 2 bids, so.
Yep, we received the 2 bids, I think it was bus 46.
Bus 46.
Which is one of the buses that is operational.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, yeah, the van.
So we received 2 bids for, just want me to read the highest bid or
Yeah.
give you both here? So we received a bid of $1,650 for bus 46 from Creighton Mahalovich.
Yep, yep, and then Travis Engel had 1601 on, same bus.
Same bus, yeah.
And then Brad Bauman wants the van for 900. So I think the van's pretty easy, because just one, I think from, you know, Creighton bid $49 more. What that leaves us with is 4 buses unsold.
So do those other ones not run, or what was the?
Some of them run. So we have, let me read them off for you. We've got bus number 9 that runs and drives, the engine has excessive blow by. We have bus number 11 that runs and drives. It's a 1999 Bluebird with 157-ish thousand miles on it. Bus 43 is a 1998 Bluebird with 181,000 runs and drives, and it says hydraulic brakes. So I don't know if that means something needs fixed with those potentially. And bus number 18 is a 1999 Bluebird with 203,744 miles, and the starter is
We had a minimum bid on those, correct?
Mr. Taylor, Mike Kincaid is on by telephone, and he can hear you if you have a question for him, Mr. Taylor.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I think Mike Kincaid is probably iPhone.
Oh.
Screen there.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm just holding my phone to my computer, and I have my phone next to his. He wasn't able to get on the link, so he can hear through mine if you have a question.
Got it. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand now. Okay. No, I think we're okay. I think Bus 46 had the lowest miles and why they bid on it.
So I
We
guess,
didn't bid on any other ones.
Yeah, it's the only bus that we got a bid on other than the van. So nobody bid on Bus 11. Next lowest without any issues.
I would move we accept the two highest bids.
second it, I guess I have a question or discussion on that. So with the ones that are remaining, what's our plan? And do we lower the minimum bid to try to get rid of them? Or is it 1,500 what we can get for Junction?
So we discussed that a little bit in finance committee about, I mean, the two bids that we received on Bus 46 are pretty close to each other. We've done our due diligence to post via local publication. So we have some flexibility now what we can do. It would be nice to get some money out of them, obviously, because money's always useful. So we talked about maybe relisting them and accepting bids, or maybe calling the person who bid 1601 and saying, here are there any of these other buses that you'd be interested in, to try to get, you know, maybe make a buyer potentially happy and help us out a little bit too. And just working with Mike to find the best amount of money that we can get for them.
Yeah. So part of the thought was, does Travis Engel at that bid want a different bus? Just offer that courtesy to him, because part of the due diligence, we met the legal requirements, we met the board policy requirements. So what we talked at the finance committee meeting was giving Travis a chance to take that bid on a different bus. And based on that, it's just basically throw it back to Mark and to Mike to say, what can we do with the rest of these buses, so.
So essentially, we followed the board policy now on disposal. So at any item above a certain amount of money, you have to follow a disposal process that includes that publishing in the local paper. So now it's just kind of dispose of the asset.
Sell them for scrap, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's not waste any more time on this thing.
I don't know what you can get them for scrap, so, but yeah. At $1,000, it's not gonna be a ton of money, even if you got $1,000, right?
Yeah.
I would say ask Travis if he wants one, and then, yeah, let's just make him go.
Make them go away.
All right, so we have a motion second on that. All in favor of accepting the bids for Creighton College and for Brad Bauman for the two as listed? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Okay.
Okay, do we need a motion to dispose of the rest of them?
So,
Okay.
Because we're following work policy, and at this point, they can just be scrapped like any other. Okay. All right, approve the 2023 IASB legislative priorities. So in the packet, there's a very long list of IASB legislative priorities. In a previous board meeting, we had the ability to contribute our priorities to them, and I think we were just too busy hiring a superintendent, and we did not take action on that. But what the IASB has asked is that we would basically have a motion and an action to approve as listed the legislative priorities for the IASB.
Well, no, I think you have till August.
We have to log some things in there,
What you say?
Yeah, I think you have till August
Oh.
to.
some more input.
Because we decide what we want to
Yeah.
do, right?
That
Or talking about
is-
priorities as a board here.
It was in, I remember a letter in May that asked for our input. Maybe that, I was so busy with other things that I missed the deadline.
They said they hope you set aside time during your May, June, July, or August board meetings.
Okay,
I believe it's August. August 12th is the deadline.
well, okay, I was mistaken.
Let's get this over with, there's no sense kicking it down the road.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I think we gotta emphasize, mental health of students and employees. That's kind of in there already, but I think that's gotta rank high.
Okay.
I think the supplemental state aid
Yeah.
and school safety.
My second one is, more support for preschool, for, I think 4-year-olds, we only get funding for half a student. And is there any funding for 3-year-olds? But anyway, support for 3 and 4-year-old preschools.
Okay. So we have mental health, SSA, school safety, and preschool funding for 3 and 4-year-olds.
Another one I have is, this isn't well developed in my brain, but there needs to be some program at the state level that would encourage people to go into home ec guidance, those hard to fill positions. There's gotta be some incentive that would get people to go in that direction, because obviously they're not going there on their, if Iowa State graduates one home ec teacher in a year, we got 333 school districts or whatever that number is now. But, and I don't know what the solution is, but all we have to is give them an idea, and we pay people to figure out how to get it done.
There was,
And I didn't see that in there anywhere, but it could be hidden in there somewhere.
So that kind of all recruitment and retention.
well, that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah,
is
that's where it
is
would
the
be.
teacher recruitment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's addressed.
I just slid over that section.
I don't think it's addressed specifically.
Well, because here's this. Supports additional tools to attract individuals to teaching professions, especially for teacher shortage areas.
Number 16.
Yeah, number 16, yeah.
But I want that to get more specific, I want a specific program that's gonna be created, not little fluffy things that don't bring any results.
So that's 5. Are there any others?
We're limited to about 4, aren't we?
Yeah,
What do we have, 5?
I'll put 5 in. All right, mental health students, SSA, school safety, preschool funding, incentivizes it for the hard to fill positions. FCS and so forth, okay.
We need that in a motion?
We need that motion in a second for those 5.
Motion, Bob.
So move.
Second.
Motion second to approve these 5 IASB legislative priorities as listed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Bids for garbage pickup, I think there was one.
Motion to approve bid for garbage pickup.
Second.
Motion is second to approve hill sanitation for garbage pickup. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, we have 2 bids for, next item is approve 2022-2023 fuel bids. We have MFA Oil, our bid for diesel, which is at a quarter above the IODT rack rate for both forms of diesel, and then from Bratz for all of our either gasoline or diesel, I guess we could get from there at basically pump rate, which I think it's hard to predict gas prices these days. So, and this is in line with the bids that we've had in the past.
Motion to approve the fuel bids.
Second.
Motion second to approve the fuel bids as listed in the board packets. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None motion carries. Approved transportation purchases.
I know that to be purchased, so.
Purchase. That's okay. So we have in there, for a 2022 GMC Sierra 2500. And I guess my question was, that is is that like a Suburban or is that a truck?
It's a truck.
It's a
For
truck
snow removal,
for snow removal.
largely,
Okay.
isn't it?
And that's on the facilities capital budget?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the purchase of a 2022 Sierra 2500 for snow removal from Vaughn Motors. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. I'm just glad that they have one in stock. Okay, we have 2 leases. So H is approval of the lease with Indian Hills. And it's a little confusing because for the ACC is kind of also an Indian Hills thing, but basically this one is for Centerville High School to lease classroom buildings from us while they are in construction. They've already started tearing buildings down. And this is specifically for,
So this is for Indian Hills to lease space, lab space from us, to be able to teach their labs during their construction time.
Just one day a week, as I understand.
I think it was something on the order, yeah, it was not a lot of time, to be honest with you.
I think it's every Monday, yeah.
Just to be able to kind of keep those same classes that they offer here in Centerville going.
and so that's this lease.
My only concern is, number one, when it talks about access to the south door, south parking lot, things like that. That's a concern to me. Number one, we're not gonna have that south parking lot for construction purposes. That's where everything's gonna be taking place. Number two is, do we have a buzzing system on that door? That's another problem.
At the high school?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a buzz in there.
and is that gonna be monitored?
In the science wing,
They said the south end.
It's a south door.
South door.
oh, south.
Yeah, in the tech wing, there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't they just come in the science wing?
Not a
Because
buzz
the
in
doors
the
are
south.
supposed to be, the doors are supposed to be locked, there's no buzzing on the science wing.
Secure entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 concerns on that. I think they need to utilize, like I said, we're not gonna have that parking lot that's shown there anyway on the lease. And then just that door access.
Okay.
So you want to come through the front door?
That's probably safer,
That's safer.
which I think in this day and age, safety is a big deal.
So do we need to change contract and have them review it again?
But the other thing on that is, it's another thing too, I mean, to have full access then to the school, so there almost needs to be someone, a professor, or either an Indian Hills rep or a community school district rep that takes them to the classroom.
How would somebody be able to buzz them in, they don't know who they are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they can see who they are.
I
Oh,
know.
oh, I see.
So if you walk up there,
I'm with you.
they know you, but
Yeah,
they
right,
may not know that that's an Indian Hills.
right.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Warren might be on, Mr. Warren, were you a part of the conversations around this at all? Brad, are you on? See his name.
Yeah,
So do you know? Yeah. Can you hear us? It's my soothing voice, it's not easy to hear, or the camera there. Brad, can you hear us okay?
yeah, I think so. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yep.
Okay, I was, talking to Matt about that while he was still, we were working together. I was under the impression they were only gonna enter through that science wing. I believe that's door 14. Another option is each of the labs do have their own doors that we could just have the kids possibly come to those doors and let the instructor let them in individually?
And they're walking across the grass.
No, just cycles.
Sidewalk, and there's gonna be
There's
a
a
rock
huge-
parking lot,
Oh, there is a sidewalk there.
Yeah,
and there's gonna be a rock parking lot to the west of the south parking lot.
right.
So that is grass over there.
So I think what we probably need to do, Mark, is send this back to you. Yep. We'll put this on as old business next time and just look at that issue. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna put that into old business. For next board meeting. We'll bring it back.
Sorry about that.
So we need a motion to table the lease agreement with anything
Yeah,
else?
let's table it, yep. We need a motion to table the lease agreement to the next meeting, so.
Move the table.
Second.
We have a motion, second table, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. All right, so this is this lease agreement they're on, this is for, ACC, yep. Alternative high school, basically, we need a spot for that. And this is gonna be on, this is what Tom had done for us, is up on the square, on the east side, in the building formerly known as Morgan's Ice Cream. And if you look in the lease there, it's kind of the same issue because of Indian Hills Construction. When they need to come to us and rent some lab space, they don't have any room to put the alternative high school.
So you see this as a temporary thing that when they get built, we can go back there again, because I think there was some benefit of having those kids out there on a college campus. Because some of them ended up taking college courses and so forth.
Yeah, this is a 2-year lease, which is the funding length of their construction.
Gotcha.
And what we talked on finance committee about is kind of gives them 2 years to work on, you know, what's the plan? You know, what's the alternative high school plan as a whole? So,
What were we paying out at Indian Hills for
more than that.
Whole bunch.
But we're gonna have some,
utilities and all?
yeah, we're gonna have some utilities, we think it's gonna be a wash. But there's just not a lot of space available in town to rent that. Did we talk about that at a previous board meeting, or is that the last finance committee meeting? You guys don't remember?
We
Okay.
didn't talk about it.
We talked about the last finance committee meeting a month ago then, yeah.
I guess the only comment I will make is that Mr. Sisler is not always responsive to maintenance and other needs.
Okay.
But I don't know that we have any other option.
Well, there's some,
I think the contract is written so that we can enforce it if there is a problem.
well, one of the things is that, that whole ice cream thing, that's an antique ice cream thing that the previous tenant had gone to Georgia and got that. It was a pretty expensive deal, and so I am a little concerned about that in the glass. And there is in here that he's supposed to drive along front of the ice cream bar to protect it. So, it's up,
Who's doing that?
well, 6A, 6A.
I didn't see that in there, I'm sorry.
Yep, it's in 6A. So it says tenant will take premises as it except herein provided. Landlord will paint the walls before tenant moves in. Landlord will place drywall in front of old ice cream bar to protect it.
Okay.
My concern is when we brought it up, and there's not a lot of space to find to do this out there, but it's, there's the bathroom, it's like a one-person stall for each bathroom.
Yeah.
We're talking about 40 kids out there, 41.
Not at one time. They kind of
That's
come and go.
that's good.
Because that was my concern, exactly that I brought up to Tom, yeah.
Is the bathroom on site ADA compliant?
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, it was a public,
It's inside.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's inside the building, but it's like, doesn't have the handholds and things, I think, the ADA side.
I think
You
it,
have to
I
have
think it
3
does.
foot space.
I don't
I don't know.
know.
They couldn't have opened a business if they weren't ADA accessible, could they?
Yeah,
When
Oh,
they
yeah.
opened a new business?
it's an existing,
Yep,
No, it wasn't an existing
It was
business.
well, I
an
mean,
existing building.
existing building.
Yeah.
I don't know that that applies.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know that stuff.
I've been in before, I thought there was plenty of room.
it's just been a lot of years.
There you go.
There wasn't a lot of room, Chris.
We don't wanna talk about a lot of
I could barely move.
You know, the green room is still out there. That's where the alternative high school was before,
Yes, it was.
and that's a lot more room.
But the downtown that's more accessible for a lot of our students, I think,
I guess another,
would be a long walk to Green Street.
Well, they were walking up Indian Hills.
one of my things, I guess, is, I deal with it all the time, just to be, I guess, a good community partner, is the parking issue there. It's a problem. I guess I would ask that who's ever in charge of that facility, if they go there, advise the students and staff to park in the middle parking lot
The
or against,
middle of the courthouse, yeah.
or against the curb against the courthouse. That way the business owners can still have
Yeah,
access.
absolutely.
I guess I don't know if the bathroom issue is an issue.
Well, I know someone has obviously put some quite a bit of time and thought into this, but I just wonder if there isn't a better option. It's not very big, and like I said, parking could be an issue, and the bathrooms could be an issue.
And I don't know who's best to talk about that, but what the discussion we had a month ago was, you're not gonna have that many students there at any one time.
That's true.
And so that helps with the space, because I was just concerned about how the space layout was, and there's just not a lot of open space, and there's a lot of the work out there is like one-on-one type. So there's some of the seating, the booths, if they're still in there, that actually works for some one-on-one work.
And there's a second level.
There's a second level.
What's it gonna cost us to bring the technology in that we need?
Yeah, that was my question.
I mean, we already have technology existing for their devices, Chromebooks and such. They already have their printers leased and the staff has their laptops, so it would just be an internet connection. And I mean, you'd get by with a home internet connection. It's not like we can send any point to point from us, so I'm guessing it'd be less than $80 a month.
No problem.
That sounds easy.
So we're using, Indian Hills was Wi-Fi prior to that, so it was just already existing. I really doubt there's anything there or a business close enough that.
Well, Natel's on the square if they gotta tap into it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure someone can get in there. I'm just saying, I don't think it's gonna be more than $80 a month for their needs.
Yeah.
With the 2-year time frame for the construction, it makes sense. But I would like to see this go to a 1 year with the district option to renew for the second, in the event that there are some issues that arise, whether it's maintenance or it ends up not working out. I mean, right now, our backs are against the wall. I don't think we have time to try to find something new today, but I would like to see it go back to a 1 year with, district option to renew for the second.
I think that's a good thought.
And that also gives us a chance to do the ADA. Okay. So, looks like we're gonna send this one back too. Okay. All right, so I need a motion second for, to table it with, explore a 1 year lease with a 1 year option. And to look at the ADA, and then Mark just knows to look at that.
Yep.
Okay. Motion second for that action.
What lawyer are we using? Mike here in town or the guy in?
We use Mike Faber,
Okay.
and then, the lease from Carl Sisler came from him, and we sent that to our attorney Owens.
Gotcha.
Okay, so motion, I need a motion to table this with, Mark knows kind of what he needs to go back and.
Yes, just one more.
Yep.
If you could check with Fire Chief Mike Vogel, just to make sure everything's in compliance and the building official. Make a motion to table.
Second.
Who's second?
Derek,
Just pick someone.
okay. We have a motion to second the table the lease with, so Mark can go back and do a little more work on it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion carries. I like that idea of 1 year with an option on it. That's a good thought. Appreciate that. Okay, approve the induction coach consortium contract for the year. The numbers changed a little bit, and I'm gonna let Mark talk about the numbers and how this is going. It's a little bit more in the rate, but it's less money because of the number of teachers.
Right, so, it hasn't changed, we've talked, at least since Lisa's been, with the district. It is calculated based on 3,500 for the year, 400 weeks per, new teacher. So this is for, the induction program is for teachers in their first and second year. So the state of Iowa requires that you have a mentoring program. Some districts do it through their TLC, which this is kind of funded through that. Some districts do it through the AEA sometimes. This is the way the district's been doing it. Joan Mobley is the person that provides this service right now for the district, and she's been at the previous rate of, I think it was at 35, yeah, for a number of years, and she sat down with Rhonda and they mapped it out a little bit to try to caught back up a little bit, and that put it at the $87.50 for this proposal, which works out to be pretty fair. I mean, it's pretty in line with what other districts are paying, I think, for this kind of service, just as an independent contractor rather than an already employed teacher.
And she does a good job.
That's right here. I'm eager to see it this year. We're excited. This is a really important position right now. As you talk about the teacher shortage, the most important thing we can do for retention is to make sure that first couple of years go really well. And as I hear it, she'll take late in the evening calls and talk people down off the ledge or something if things are rough. So it's a very important piece for us.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion second to approve the induction coach consortium contract for agreement for 2022-2023. Excuse me, I got hiccups. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, board policies. Let's have this conversation in two parts. One is policies tonight, and another one is policies in general. We all know that our policies are way behind. So we talked about this in our finance committee meeting also, is there's a couple different ways that we can do policies as a whole. And basically in the next 12 months, we are going to go through all of our board policies. And we're going to get them all up to date, and we're going to be in compliance with on a 5-year schedule. So we can have IASB do it, Bryn Meyer's got somebody that we can refer us to, we can do them ourselves. But in the next 12 months, we are going to go through all the board policies, okay? Having said that, what do we need to do tonight?
So tonight, the policies that are in front of you were all brought about by changes from the legislature in this last session. So these are all policies where a law changed in the last legislative session, making it where districts needed to make changes to their board policies. So we're kind of catching up on this spring, even though we've got to catch up on the last 7, 6, however many springs as well. So that's what these ones are for.
Go ahead.
I got a question on a couple of them.
Yep.
4022, reporting child abuse.
Okay.
The way this reads now is basically a teacher, if they suspect it, should be calling and reporting the abuse. Is that correct? Okay. I think general practice has been moving it up to the chain of command.
Right. And so this has been this way for a while, actually, that the person who has a BOE license and who is a mandatory reporter is supposed to make that call. I know, having come out of building leadership recently, a lot of times that meant I sat with them, or my counselor or my social worker sat with them to kind of help support them, because typically a lot of people don't have a lot of experience with that, and it can be kind of a frightening call the first couple times. So I think a lot of times people will offer that support, but it really should come directly from the mandatory reporter that receives the report.
And the question on the second one on 5057, the graduation requirements. So I think last year we approved the high school year, or high school handbook, and it had these changes in the handbook, but it didn't reflect our policies. I guess so for sophomores, juniors, and seniors, if we implement this policy, will that be retroactive? I mean, should we start this with the incoming freshmen? So,
We pulled the credits directly from the previous policy is what we had Kate do when putting these together, so. Let me pull that up, what's listed on our board policy. Now, that might mean we weren't practicing maybe our previous board policy potentially. But yeah, we wouldn't wanna make a change to those. There's no desire to make a change to those graduation requirements. They're only the language pertaining to it. You're talking about the number of credits, I
think like there was honors, diploma, things like that.
Okay,
So I know, I may be wrong, I could
No,
say
that's okay.
corrected, but I don't think it was in our policy previously. It was in our handbook that we approved last year for the high school. But I don't think it was in our policy for the concurrent classrooms in order to get an honors degree.
so 5057 in previous policy. If I can scroll there fast enough for us. Sorry. Goodness, the 500 series has a lot.
I just don't recall what we had done.
I know there was some discussion last year amongst parents that the handbook said this. I went back, had people contact me, in our policies that were online, it did not have this.
So the graduation requirements in the handbook and the graduation requirements in the policies did not line up.
Correct.
And my guess is, these were revised July 12th, 2021. My guess is maybe it just didn't get on the website. Is that what you're saying? People read it?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's an issue for students that are currently in the high school.
So what we don't wanna do is any sort of negative surprise for our students that are in high school.
But Lisa, you're saying we did approve it as our policy. It just
In
didn't get
July
publicly
2021.
displayed.
So which paragraph are you looking at on that?
It's the one for the graduation with honors, where it talks about the concurrent enrollment. You have to have 15 hours of concurrent enrollment in order to have a honors diploma.
It's towards the bottom of the last page of that.
Right before 2, Roman numeral 2.
So you're saying it got in the handbook,
Okay,
but
so
it didn't get
if you
on
keep
the
going
website?
down where it says high school graduation, the second page of the high school graduation towards the bottom.
Is on the current online board policy, but I don't know when that was uploaded. That paragraph is there above too. Additionally, to earn an honors diploma, students must maintain a 3.0 cumulative GPA or higher and successfully complete at least 15 credit hours of concurrent enrollment courses, which can include CTE. So I don't know if maybe that wasn't uploaded.
One I
Maybe.
have on the website is, it says Series 500 update 7/12/21, and it was uploaded February 28th of 22.
Ah, there you
So
go.
it was, yeah.
That's what it was.
That's where it's at.
Little tiny.
So we may need to look at, you say that's an impact on our, what would be our seniors, juniors, and sophomores. So we need to look and see if what was posted before maybe would have a negative impact on our students and make sure that we come back with a suggestion if we need to do something to make things right.
Unless we can put this as effective for whatever, starting with this year's freshman class.
So can we approve part of these policies or?
This is just first reading. We have to have a second reading before we can approve.
And I can find out the history
Probably
of
what
why
should
it's in
be
this meeting.
is the first reading. So we're gonna approve the first reading.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Motion to approve policies.
It would be a motion to approve the first reading of the policy.
First reading of the policy.
Second.
We have a motion, and is there any other, we have a motion and second on the, approve the first reading of the policies. Is there any other discussion, any other points you want to make up on policies? Okay. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes, okay. Good little details to bring up. Okay. Approve the activity fund transfers for negative balances. This is an annual thing that we get to do. Let me bring it up, okay. So it's this page, the board packet. We went through this also in the finance committee. And if you've got that page in front of you, it is, the way you read this, there's headers up there. Liz had to point them out to me because I didn't see them. On the far left-hand column says transfer from. When you do the next column over, it says what's the starting balance of that account, how much is being transferred out, the remaining balance, and where it's going. And after she pointed out, I said, oh yeah, you did have the labels on it. So, I mean, I may be the only one who know how to read that. So the example is the Thespian Fund number 6110 has a balance of $14,586.28. We're going to transfer $397.50, leave the balance of $14,188, and that's going to go to speech. And basically, what happens is over on the right-hand side, those are accounts that go negative throughout the year, and we have to bring them back to zero. And if you look through these, if you look at where the money's coming from, and then where the money's going through, it's basically activity funds and concessions, or some donations from class 2021. And it's going to pay for those things. So there's activity tickets that are to go and fund the cross-country football, soccer, and baseball. Concessions that are going to go in for baseball, track, and tennis, and so forth. Where the money should come from, that's why we have concessions, that's why we have gate receipts, is to pay for these. Any questions?
So move. Second.
We have a motion second to approve the activity funds transfers as listed in the board packet. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, handbook changes. Could I put, yeah, it wouldn't be fair, probably. It wouldn't be fair to Rhonda. I say, the building administrator say, what are the changes to the handbook? Probably wouldn't be fair to Brad either.
No.
I guess, Terry, you're off the hook, because we can't do that.
No.
Hey, we can make it quick and easy. We can make it quick and easy at Lakeview. We updated the years, guys, and we updated the lunch count, or the lunch money. That's all it was. So
Yeah.
otherwise clerical things, but Julie and I worked on that last week together, didn't we, Julie?
Thank you.
For the virtual academy, the two dates that we have would be the time. So, and along with how we track attendance. So last year, students minimum were online for 20 hours per week. And we updated that now to be 5 hours per day. And we also updated our support systems if students are not being successful.
I believe that you'll see that first page there, student handbook changes for 22-23.
Oh, there it is.
The changes that are for CHS. I think Brad put that document.
Okay,
with that.
that's it.
So my only question on like the high school one is, do we need to hold off until we make a final reading, approved final reading for the policy change with the honors, graduation with honors?
So it's already board policy. That part is,
The hours or the credits?
because that's what's already listed in board policy. And the honors diploma is already what's listed in board policy. So it's actually not a change. Now, it wasn't posted correctly, which is unfair to some kids potentially. And what I plan to do with that is to go back and find out what the previous wording that was posted was. And I wanna bring that back to you guys so you know kind of what kids might have lost there. So we can treat them fairly. But since it's already board policy, that it would actually probably be inappropriate not to list it in the handbook.
So I did read through these, there were just a couple small things. In the high school book on page 8, they still have Tom Rubel listed for the employee abusive students, as well as Rhonda. I don't know if those are supposed to be the same contacts. And then Lakeview would have been page 3, absences. We forgot a T in kindergarten. It's my ADD kicking in on that. And then the recess policy still, and detention policy still mentioned grades 3 through 6 and not 3 through 5.
That's because it is different. It is different. That's the reason for that.
But
But we don't have 6th graders at Lakeview anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm with you. I was thinking,
I read it like 3 times, wait a second, something's not right. So I just.
oh, I'm sorry.
Was that Derek?
We'll get that corrected. Thank you.
Then 6, I think.
Page 6 of the Lakeview League.
And just the last thing I seen, and again, not reinventing the wheel, seems like a lot, there's, the same policies are mentioned when it comes to absenteeism, et cetera, but the verbiage is a little bit different. If you look at the high school attendance policy versus Lakeview, if you got kids in multiple buildings, you can kind of look at one, and you gotta do a little bit of thinking on that. Has it been discussed to have a district-wide master handbook, so to speak, and then have your school-specific section, so everybody in the district gets the same information?
It hasn't been yet, but that's something that if, with the board's desire for that, we could look at that.
What the administrators think about it.
Absolutely. The more system-wide work we can do, the better.
I was gonna say the same thing. I do think that the absenteeism is a little different for elementary kids than it is middle and high school. I think the date, like the amount of days is a little different, but I could be wrong on that.
No, I think with the school year coming, I mean, that's probably
Well, yeah.
like a prepare for next school year kind of project. But I think it would be a valuable project for
I was
us.
happy to help.
You know, I would agree that there should be some common ground there,
Yeah.
but each grade level is significantly different.
Absolutely.
In the way you handle kids and the way you handle things like that, so would have to be some flexibility in there.
Oh, without question.
Let's look at it. What do you think?
We can workshop it in the admin team and I can bring some updates on how that goes. Probably starting after we let the administrators get the school year started, probably October before I would come back with any update on that.
Yeah, I see what I hear what you're saying, Derek. It's an interesting thought. I've had the thought myself, I've just never brought it up, but I'm also sitting here thinking through it of, as a parent, if you have one master policy book, and I got one kid only in one grade, there's a lot of extra stuff from those other buildings.
True.
I'm also thinking if I've got, because we had kids in every building. You had all those different workbooks, so yeah, it's an interesting proposal, I think, because Mark doesn't have enough to do in his first year, so.
Hey, listen, this is the policy stuff. This is the stuff I get geeked out about, so we're good. That's what I get geeked out for.
So it's an interesting thought, I just don't know how it's gonna come out, so.
And it's still should have 3 separate books,
Right.
but some
Just-
common language.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what, even if it is specific, just,
Yeah.
this is the general board policy. You know, that being said, I mean, I would motion to approve the changes as laid out for this coming school year.
Is it possible to say with those, spelling errors fixed
With-
and
with
all
the-
that?
with the spelling errors.
Something like that.
Yep. With changes as noted. Okay.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second to approve the handbook changes for 2022, 2023. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. And approve personnel business procedures. All right, let me get to my little list here.
I would like to make a comment
On
for the personnel.
Okay.
FCS had me thinking for quite a while. And, I'll be honest with you, I have suggested to the previous administration that I really don't like acronyms. And I've been in education for many years, and I don't understand. I mean, I would appreciate it if we did not use so many acronyms when we publish things like this.
Okay.
I can work on that for you. So for those.
I did figure it out.
For those keeping score at home, FCS is Family and Consumer Science.
Do you wanna talk about that position a little bit?
So it's a teaching position at the high school, largely foods and hospitality. Brad, I think you talked to me a little bit about the offerings we're hoping to still be able to do in that department. Can you talk a little bit about what we offer in that strand of CTE?
Yeah, we currently offer restaurant management. We have hospitality and tourism. I think we have 2 sections of that. We're hoping to get back into being able to offer some maybe nutrition, some foods classes, things like that at the high school level. That's also a shared position with the middle school. And I believe at the middle school, it's more of what you consider just general life skills.
Okay. My long-term support of that position is that we should be doing child development and family living. Those are valuable skills people need, and I can tell you're not evaluating that right now. But long-term, put some thought into getting that back into the curriculum, because those were courses we had for years. They were well taught. There's several sections of those, and don't need as much stuff on food, I don't think really. But I realize with a half-time position, you're limited what you can do there.
And I agree with you, Bob, and some of the discussion today was, possibly some of that child stuff at the middle school. Unfortunately, at the high school, like you talked about earlier, it's a position of need, and those people with that endorsement to teach all those areas are pretty hard to find.
But we need to remember that we build a room for sewing and a room for child development and a room for kitchen. The kitchen's only 1/4 of that area there a little bit, so the long-term plan when that section was built was that there would be those other sections. But no, I understand the difficulty finding somebody. But it's gonna take several years to get that taken care of, but those are important. I just reading this today, I can remember when I guess I was substitute teacher then, a girl came to school, a girl who had a baby, and said her baby cried all night. And she couldn't figure out what was wrong because she had fed it 3 times that day. She couldn't imagine why it was crying. That shows kind of the need that we have.
To follow with that, I pressured Mr. Rubel for many years, and he finally did get someone in that position last year. And I think when I threatened to go camp out at the 3 universities that do offer a degree in this, and I was gonna bring somebody home, he found someone. Okay, they're out there. We just gotta go get them.
I don't think they're out there. I thought one year Iowa State graduated 1 home ec major.
That's one. There's several universities that do that.
That's true.
when we were trying to hire in Burlington, we were told there were 2 universities in the state that offered it, Iowa State and UNI, and they each graduated 1 year.
Right.
We tried for years to hire an actual certified person that had to go the career and technical route. That being said, if you want to camp out at Ames, I'm in.
No.
I'm
It's no longer a threat, it's
I'm
a.
telling you, in the
Sounds
state
great.
of Iowa, I said in the United States, there's universities that do
in.
that.
I'm game.
But I think your threat is now we'll take you up on your offer to go find one, so.
I really would like to see us be able to offer some of those things, and I think
Yeah.
when we talk about how the benefit of being a hub district like we are, and a hub
Yes.
community like we are, is the offerings that we can give. Now we need to find some staff to be able to give those
Right,
offerings.
I think that would give us a
Yeah.
leg up,
Yeah,
I think so. I'm on the hunt now.
Well, we're probably got, like Brooke came from central Missouri. Deb Robinson came from Truman, so,
And I would mention that Deb Robinson and I are still in touch,
yeah,
and she would be very willing to help.
okay.
You know, and she did a really good job for many, many years. And she would still be willing to do that.
What's the definition of help?
I think she'd come in and teach or at least help prepare lessons and show them how to do that. Because she saw that as a very valuable contribution when she was teaching. So, yeah, I think she's pretty much all in.
Okay, thanks. Okay. All right. All right, so anything else on any of these positions we want to talk about?
so you need a motion to approve all of the personnel business procedures.
Yep. Unless there's any other discussion, I take a motion.
Are we on to them?
No, I mean, it's personnel.
Yeah, personnel.
I second.
Who
We have-
first? I'm sorry, who made that motion?
Bob,
Okay.
Chris. We have a motion and a second to approve all business personnel procedures listed in the board packet. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Good job getting a bus driver.
Well, Mike,
Mike, good job getting a bus driver. All right, committee reports. Anything from finance committee? I'm sorry, let's start with facilities committee.
I've been going to the meetings on Howard, and there is an equipment issue there. And basically it has to do with the band room. The big, there's one central sort of air handler thing there that is really got them stymied. But we have worked out with Rhonda and our superintendent here to, we're gonna accommodate those fellows, and they're gonna accommodate us. I will point out, since she's not here tonight, was that RFK, when they designed this system, screwed up in the music room. Okay? All it took was a step ladder, lift the ceiling panel out, and put your tape measure up there. And they didn't do that.
What's the mistake?
The mistake was the air handling unit that goes in that room and the way the air comes into the band room. There were really 2 mistakes. The contractor told them how to fix it, but it did necessitate some extra work. They had put in an extra, what we call a bulkhead, and all because RFK did not do their homework in that area. They had to make some, not real significant changes, but changes so that the equipment would fit and so that it could be serviced. So if RFK comes back here and wants to charge us for redesigning something they screwed up on, I'm gonna have a hard time. Okay,
So that's the bulkhead change order.
the bulkhead is like, it's like a.
I know what it is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because the way they were going to bring that into the room, it interfered with a bunch of other things, piping and stuff that was in the way.
No, I was at the meeting, that's what they're talking about, the bulkhead.
Yeah. So, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't do their homework. so. Other than that, those guys, I think our contractors there are doing a really good job. I think they're trying real hard, and they're gonna make it all work.
Yeah, I've been walking through the building once a week since they started.
Yeah.
They still need 5 control boards for the units. They've got 8, they need 13, they're looking for 5. The air handling unit that they're talking about is the main air handling unit that's supposed to be delivered on the 27th of this month. And that all goes in, then they have a plan to balance the air in all of those rooms. There's another unit for the band room that's separate from the air handling unit. So the air handling unit is they call it the big unit outside.
Yeah, that's
And
that's gonna be handy.
Yeah, and the other one they're waiting on a wiring harness for the unit in the band room.
You know, the band room, at one time, they said that would take till October to get what they needed, is that?
This September 9th is when they were talking about getting part of it.
Okay.
So, and the thing that we asked at that meeting that I think is important to know, is that it won't be an interruption that whole time to use of that space. Cause we're very particular about asking, will our students be able to use the spaces that we've got for them? And there's gonna be some interruptions, but not for that full period of time.
And the subcontractor for Cunningham, he made it pretty clear that he's gonna be as low disruptive as possible. And it would be for the maximum of a week, so, okay. All right, so the finance committee meeting, thank you for the report. The finance committee meeting, we talked about the leases, which we did. We talked about the induction coach, the bus, the fuel bids, the activity funds transfer, and the high school project. So we pretty much took care of most of the things talking to finance committee. What we will say on the high school project is this: we have bids that are coming in on the 21st. I all along have thought we're probably not gonna come in what the projections are internally. My gut says it's gonna be higher. We will know on the 21st. We have made Lisa get some gray hair on when if this comes in over, how much money can you find? But we'll wait for the bids when they come in on the 21st, and we'll see where we go. There's standby to standby. There were some projects that came into bid around the state that were recently that were a little bit more, and it's kind of in the manageable number. I'll put it in that category. They're just kind of pins and needles waiting for 2 o'clock on the 21st. And what's that? Yeah. Sorry, we're gonna cut the board pay by 50%. Instead of getting nothing, you're gonna have to pay to come and see.
You're not gonna touch our benefits, are you?
No, I'm not gonna cut your benefits.
Sorry, Derek.
Not on the wrong time.
You're only got to pay $50 a week to come instead of 100, so we're just we're watching that pretty close. And we actually have, Wednesday, we're having a meeting with Matt Gillespie and stuff, and we're gonna do some contingency planning to be proactive on it, so. We also did, this is what we need to talk about, okay? We took the liberty of giving, Rochelle the guidance to go out and find some other contractors. Try and ask to see if there's some other contractors who bid, just so we have the most bids on there. One of the things she came back and said was that a potential issue I said, what would keep somebody from bidding? And she says, well, sometimes it's their timeline. They can't fit it in the project timeline. She says, okay, what would it take to move the project timeline? What are we talking about? She said, sometimes it's adding 3 months to the ending date. So I took the liberty to say, well, if you go out, you call some contractor, we gave her some names, and if they want, if they say, hey, we would bid on it if we had 3 more months to finish it up because of conflicts with other schedules, find that out, come back, tell us, and then we'll have to figure out how we handle that that change to the addendum to the date? And can we do that on an addendum to the bid? So if that doesn't make sense to any of you, it took me an hour to a conversation with her to figure what that means.
That came out of her talking about, there were some companies that she thought might not bid because our start time didn't line up, they were already engaged in the project.
But we wouldn't have to rebid it, we can make an addendum to the bid packet that says you now have 3 more months. And we says, if you have some contractors who would bid if we did that, please let us know right away. And what we're trying to do is solicit the maximum number of bids that we can possibly get in order to make it more competitive.
So the people that already,
We'd offer that, obviously, addendum to, yeah, absolutely. We wouldn't, they would be notified of that as well. But what we're trying to do is how can we get the maximum number of bids so we get the most competitive bids?
On that timeline, I know when the show's completion December 24 with move-in date. That was kind of, in my opinion, pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And when we got done with Lakeview, we waited until the school year was over.
Mhm.
We didn't move mid-school. So that was one thing that I kind of was thinking on that timeline of, okay, well, you have till June of 25, and then during the summer, they could work on the tear down.
At the contractor meeting on Friday, we did talk about that afterwards and all those things, and I think that was kind of a thought of trying to move over Christmas. And I brought up that very issue because, but there was a difference there. They didn't want to move from the one building to the other over Christmas. Because what I found out about trying to move an elementary school teacher from a building at Christmas is you need to have a fleet of U-Hauls. Because of all the stuff that they have, bless their hearts, they're dealing with the little ones. To do that and move that much stuff over Christmas was just too much to do. So, could you move a classroom over Christmas from the 3rd floor down an elevator, down the hall and move that? It's a little bit it's easier logistically, but again, it doesn't make sense to do that. And in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to have them move over there if we push it back 3 months to get more bids and it's more competitive.
Well, what disappointed me was that her time schedule only allowed about 30 days for a $15 million project. I don't know, how do you round up enough subcontractors to kind of give you some ideas?
Well, and we talked about that. And so the finance committee meeting, she was in there, I asked her that question. Are you telling me that these guys can bid that fast? And you know, she deals with these, you know, types of organizations all the time. And her comment was 30 days is more than they need. They need about 2 weeks. Because when they take the plans that are all electronic, they dump them into their system. They got software that will do bills of materials and bring it all out. And it takes them about 2 weeks, and some of them even less than that. Which I was surprised, because I grew up with a father who was a roofing contractor and came over every night and had one of them 3-sided rulers and a scratch pad. He was doing everything by hand back in the 70s. So that's just, but it makes sense to me that they have that tape.
It probably works, but it just, I'm like you, kind of a little old school like that.
But they have all the takeoff software to do all that kind of stuff, so.
I hope it comes out well.
Well, we're gonna find out on the 21st. So, speaking of that, we're gonna get to superintendent, I'll just go ahead and finish up. So, on some of my side, let me talk about the 27th. Okay, so the 21st is bid opening at 2. I'm gonna come up for that. On the 27th, we're gonna start at 4:30. That's a little bit of a change. Because our IASB facilitator is coming from Muscatine and just asked to start at 5, go to 7, kind of wants to drive home when it's still light out. I think we can all appreciate that. So what we need to do from a board action special meeting standpoint on the 27th is deal with the bid and to deal with the last bond. So Matt Gillespie is going to present to us at that point that day the bonds bids for the 3.685 million, if I got the number right, 3.685 million. And if that comes in, and, you know, hopefully we have some contractor bids on the building at the same time, we'll take an act and we'll sell those bonds that night. And then we'll also approve the bids and the contractor on the high school. Was there a third thing that we were gonna do?
No, that's all I
Okay, but we felt those two things could take a little bit more time, so if we, on that Thursday, we're gonna start at 4:30, just so that we can get in the work session at 5. Mark and I did talk to, her name is Tammy Drawbaugh. She's gonna come over, she's who I've been, my main, when I say I talk to IASB, it's Tammy. Okay, she is from Muscatine, she's been was on the board over there for 15 years, she was board president for like 8, she'll tell you all those numbers, I'm sure. And now she works for IASB. So we talked about, Mark and I, what we want for the agenda, and she's gonna lay out some packets. We're gonna have some packets that'll be printed out. There's not gonna be any advanced material, but when they come in, she's gonna basically talk 2 hours about a bunch of issues that we brought up, and it's basically, some of it will be goal setting for, you know, Mark's goals, and what else? There's another review, evaluation, goals for evaluation stuff. So we're not gonna set those that night, but we're gonna start talking about those and how to do that process. And then we just talked about, because, you know, Tim's new on the board, you're obviously new on the board, is board governance and some different things on just how to manage a board. And I think we could use a refresher, because it's been a long time since anybody went to an ISB conference, which is in November this year. Like November 11th or something like that, I remember what it was, so everybody.
Can we get that exact date so people?
You know what?
People can plan?
I can.
Yeah.
I already gave Lisa the request that it started to be included on every agenda, so it's at the bottom of every agenda, so yes, there's
November 16th.
November 16th.
November 16th?
16 and 17.
So I'd like everybody to mark their calendars, and especially if you're new, plan to attend. If you're old and you plan on running again, plan to attend. So I'll tell you my feeling on that is, we read off that statement says that we want our students to become lifelong learners. We ask our teachers to do professional development. We should follow the same suit. And this is our board professional development, is to go and get some education of those things. So please mark your calendars.
And they're well done.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
First one was overwhelming.
It was very, very.
It was like, whoa.
Right, exactly. But if you're gonna, and I don't know whether you're not again, but if you're gonna run again, you ought to go, because you've had a couple years on the board. Now you can go back into that finance 101. And what I did was I went to finance 202 and 30, or 201 and 301. And I've been on the finance committee for 2.5 years. Holy cow, I remember this, but I'm still learning. So those are good things. And you know, there's things on the roles of boards and board governance, and they've got some great speakers and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's part of good board governance, and our personal professional development of board members that we should attend our professional training, which is the board convention. So having said that, Mark, your report?
Awesome.
yeah.
So,
Financial.
Oh, financial. I already did it.
What?
no,
The
the
bills.
Not finance report, financials,
The financial,
Not
bills and
finance.
stuff.
the bills.
Thank you. We got to
One
pay
that
bills.
we were on like 20 minutes ago.
Put my glasses back on. All right, let's do the financial reports, not the finance committee reports.
Just a little tidbit, I've been bringing up that there was a water on a practice field. That water, Tim, about the one of the last days he was here, came running up to me one day and said, that practice field is behind the high school. And there, I walk by there every night for 2 or 3 years there. But there's a faucet and a meter right there at Grand Street, sort of across from Mortz's place there. And so I picture in my head, and I think Rich's was always, we're talking about water at Lakeview, but that isn't what we were ever talking about. But I don't know who uses that water, but it's.
No one does. It was there originally for when football
Right,
practice was there.
exactly. Yeah, I knew I was there, right?
So we need to look at shutting the meter off.
Well, that's what I've said, but
Well, thanks for doing more research. Now that we have more research, Bob, thank you.
Tim did all the research.
West side.
It's on the west side, south of the sidewalk,
Yeah,
right at Grand.
right.
Well, thanks for staying
And
after that
it's from
one. So.
football, it's from football practice, but now you changed it on the bill, it actually says South 9th Street.
Yeah,
So people would know that it's at the high school, not in the wilderness at Lakeview.
The item that surprised me was the copy thing, the bill for copies at the high school, that was the last week. I thought, man, they must be doing a lot of work
She's
that
got,
last
she's
week.
got 2 bills in there. They didn't give us last month's bill, so
Oh, is
that's
that
2
what it
months
was?
worth, yeah.
Okay, that explains it, then. Thank you.
So I have a question on the Iowa Media Network. Okay. We've been paying the same amount every month for almost a year. And I kind of talked to some people. I think we maybe entered into a non-board approved contract almost, word of mouth contract. And I think that needs to get corrected. Previous superintendent.
I think you're right.
So we need a, okay.
We either need to, as a board, approve a contract, or, I mean, we've been paying $1,700 a month, $3,400 for quite a while.
That's a good observation.
Lisa, you think we approve it?
You did not approve it. It did
We
not
did.
come across here.
Okay,
That one looked real suspicious.
Not that it's anything they've done, I think
We just need to formalize that.
we need to have something board approved, because I think that goes beyond what the price that a superintendent can enter into agreement.
So we can talk about putting something together for that, yeah.
And I mean, if we're getting $3,400 a month of stuff out
Well,
of
it's 2017. There's 2 bills in there from 2 different months.
okay, so if we're getting that out of them, great, but it's under, the price is the same every month, so.
I was on that page and I'm off of it.
It is page 7.
There it is, it's skipped over it again. Yeah, it's for June and July. It was it was 3,400 total for this billing cycle.
Yeah.
Sounds like a contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on the financial reports? If no others, then I'd entertain a motion to approve the financial reports and pay our bills.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve the financial reports. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, now I would have made my comments about IASB. Let's just move those down to there and go to Mark for the superintendent.
Excellent, I'll try not to be too long-winded, just wanted to give you guys, run back through some of the weekly updates. Here, recently spoke with Mecca about, some needs that were shared of some kids needing some food in town. We use some of our food bank resources to help take care of that. Got to watch a couple, Big Reds games, got to watch district baseball for 2 games, and regional softball, and listen to another district baseball game while I drove to U-Haul. I promise I kept my eyes on the road. I know there's law enforcement on the road. So, I was really proud of the teamwork and sportsmanship on both of those teams. You know, I the last game for both teams obviously didn't turn out the way they wanted, but the kids kept their heads held high and did the right thing, and I think there's a lot to be proud of. Those are skills that will transfer well for them as adults. Been working with our administrators to fill open positions. We got a couple tough to fill ones. on the list today here. We're still working on finalizing, I'm waiting for a response for a BOE rep for a potential school librarian. Pretty excited about that. I met with Josh Bryce with the pitch. They would like to do a teacher spotlight for the first couple months of the year, so he's gonna give me some more information on that, and we'll go through there. Got to attend Coffee Clutch with the Historic Preservation, meet some good leaders in the community, and get to see some of the great things that are going on. Lisa and I, and here's where I want to brag publicly for the people playing along at home. Lisa and I went to the Brenda Meyer onboarding session, and Larry Siegel, who's considered probably the top Iowa school finance expert, shared Lisa's model for forecasting school finances. So that's the one that he wanted to use in his presentation because he said she did such a good job. So I thought, you know what, that's a big thing to celebrate that we got somebody doing that great work here. Construction meeting at Howard, good progress is being made. We talked a little bit about some of the tweaking that we'll have to do to start the year, but I think Mrs. Rasky has a really good plan to help make sure that students aren't disrupted by that. So that's a huge deal. Upcoming, I'll be attending the new Superintendent Institute with School Administrators of Iowa tomorrow up in Clive. Speaking at Rotary on Wednesday, which we'll see how well I do at that. I may never be asked again, we'll find out.
And they're always looking for people to talk at Rotary.
Oh, all right, well, here we go, hopefully.
You're on the rotation.
Well, great. But then we have an admin team on, meeting on Friday, which is gonna be great, because we're gonna review our emergency operations plan, among other things. So many new administrators in the district, it's important that we all are aware of what we would do in the case of an emergency. I know I, as an administrator, have been in a building where we had fire alarm that was legit, smoke was coming out of a room on the last day of a school building being open in Burlington. I've managed through a tornado, actually, on the ground near the community, so at dismissal time, which was really fun. So, you know, these things, you think that's nothing, you'll never do emergency operations, and then you get into it and you realize, oh gosh, we better know what to do when these things come up. So I'm excited that we're gonna have some emergency operations folks here to help us through that and make sure that our plans are up to date with the most recent knowledge to keep our kids safe and keep our buildings running smoothly.
Perfect. Okay, time for board takeaway. So this is something that we do at the end, hopefully to drive engagement for the board in there. And we do a board takeaway. So we're gonna go around the room. I have an order that we go through. And basically share something new that you learned, something that you think you need to learn more about, or something that you think the board needs to think about and act on in the future. So it's basically kind of what do you get out of the meeting, what are you learning about, and all that kind of stuff. And you're gonna have lots of things you're learning about, should be easy. So the rotation says we start with Tim.
Well, I'll hit on finance, and I always learn something every time we're having those meetings, and then see how we actually present it to the board and how the process works. And I'm looking forward to going to the convention in November. I think it would be very beneficial.
Okay. I think for mine, it's more something we need to think about in the board, and I kind of hit on it as IASP, is professional development. I've been thinking a lot about, you know, what we ask for kids for lifelong learners since we started doing that, and what we're asking for teachers for PD, and what I think the board needs to think about is our professional development as a board by going to IASP. So, and I talked about that earlier, so. Bob?
Well, I threw out several ideas during the meeting, I guess. I'm running dry here.
But you know we do these.
You gotta hold one.
You gotta start saying them. Oh, and you can't repeat anything that anybody else said. That's why we rotate through this.
No, I found it interesting with the architect, you know, how she was pretty positive everything's gonna be okay, but she's becoming more and more of a doubting Thomas on what those bids are gonna be there. But a couple months ago, she was feeling really good.
Every month in finance committee, I've been asking her, all right, what are you thinking? Now we're starting to get cold feet on the numbers. Derek?
I learned a lot. First and foremost, just glad to be a part of the board. you know, definitely since the 27th, kind of looking through board policy as well as the meeting packet over the weekend. Definitely a lot more that goes into it than I think most people think.
Yep.
It's not, you know, 2 hours every 2 weeks. It's definitely a commitment, but, you know, I'm just looking forward to jumping in head first and contributing and, you know, talking about that conference. You know, whether it's my current profession or past life, those conferences, they always recharge and refresh, and sometimes make you wonder what you're doing. But again, I couldn't agree with you more on.
Was the board packet a little bit bigger than you thought it was gonna be?
Yeah, 207 pages, you know.
It was bigger than I thought.
I saw that attachment, 13 megs, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure about it.
They've been bigger, so,
Yeah.
all right, Chris.
Okay, I am happy that we have a FCS teacher. For one, I hope we can continue to keep somebody in that spot. The other thing I will say is, I enjoyed a baseball game also, and I got a chance to see our superintendent out and about, as he should be, and I appreciate that. It's fun too.
Right?
Mine's been more of a, I guess, I've been studying up on the new financial package that can be given to schools for safety purposes, $50,000 each building, and what the process is on that. I've been getting some stuff from emergency management and just kind of doing my research on that. And that's one thing I think moving forward where I think it's going to be critical for you know, not only Mark and the principals, but finance or facilities committee with recommendations on how that's, on things that could be possibly implemented. There's some steps you gotta, and some hoops you gotta jump through to get that money, but it looks fairly easy and fairly simple.
Where's it coming from?
This is coming from the state. So it's up to 50,000 per building for safety, and that could be a variety of things, whether it's camera systems, lockable, you know, the systems that we have on our doors right now. Just pretty much anything and everything will qualify for the most part. You just have to have certain, you have to meet certain requirements for it's a grant, is what it is, and you have to meet certain steps to apply for that grant.
We did engage in the first step. So in your online portal, you had to submit for safety review, like they'll come and review our safety of our facilities as part of that. So hopefully we'll get more information beyond that soon too.
You know,
It is a lot of money.
Our weakness is camera security, right?
That's
Inside and outside.
to me, yes, doing this for a long time in the safety of the school, cameras are a big issue. And I think we kind of talked one time in a meeting somewhere, having a camera system that has an IP address where it can be linked in from outside the school system by first responders or something like that is a huge need. Also, you know, we've done a lot of good things with school safety over the years, previous boards, our board, things like that. So yeah, I'd say the biggest is the camera system, also some tweaks to the phone system that we're using.
How is the phone system with safeties?
Well, the phone system, if, let's say, Mr. Warren was to call 911 from the high school, it would pop up here as the.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure we worked through that last year. No?
It still happens.
Still happening?
I had a call on it about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
It used to pop up at the bank downtown.
Yeah, it used to be down to the US Bank.
That was where the headquarters.
Sounds scary.
So if you call 911, the fire trucks would have gone to that bank.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, it popped up US Bank on the square.
Yeah.
Okay, got it,
But
okay.
yeah, there's a lot of things. Everybody that has anything to do with safety and security is gonna be coming out of the woodwork. So that's one of the things to kind of really dig into, so.
I think I received 8 or 9 solicitations today.
Yeah.
After that number's fairly recently come out, the 50,000 per building. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Thomas.
I too was very surprised and very proud of Lisa. And I thought that spoke very well of the Centerville Community School District. I knew we made a good choice, and that just verifies that.
Okay.
The other thing that I need to share with you is that I serve on the Centerville Community Betterment Board. They're the folks that have the group homes. We recently purchased the Always building, and we'll be doing about a $1.5 million renovation on that building. And one of the services that we hope to be able to provide would be counseling for young students.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that fits our business model at Centerville Community Betterment, and there's money available for that. Apponeuse County ranks 99th in the state in lots of areas concerning mental health, suicides, and a whole host of things. So we're hoping to try to meet that need at some point. So we will, at some point, we'll probably be coming to the school district to see if we can partner in some way to make that happen.
Okay. All right, thank you. And that concludes our board member takeaways. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Did you tell what you learned?
I did.
Yeah, he did.
Mine is a professional development.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
That's what I've been thinking. Since also,
Gonna get you.
something you think the board needs to think about, that's a professional development go to IESB.
That'll teach you to hold something back.
All right, and before we, a motion to adjourn, Cameron, thank you very much for coming in. Everybody who is Zoomed in and online, thank you for attending to the board meeting tonight.
Can I ask one more thing? We had mentioned at the last meeting that we would kind of like to see the administrators back at board meetings. And I know you're new.
I texted our team today and told them that I'd like us to be in person.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And they
Okay,
said,
okay, I didn't know
Sorry.
where we were on that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
With that, and the motion, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, you can remain in place.